Oh, 1 second. Is it working? Yeah, cool. All right, nice one. So yeah, I was just doing a live stream because I've been very slow at uploading videos recently because I've been at Anchor. It's been awful, as you can see. So, but the battery is quite hard to keep on top of uploading it. But yeah, I'm not sure what to do. So next month is July, and I've had a little bit of interest in selling some boat trips. I just don't know whether to hang around here. Echo. Is it echoing? I just don't know whether to hang around here. I'm trying to fix the echo. Is it still echoing? Still echoing? Yeah. How about now? I think my headphones were plugged in. How about now? I think my headphones were plugged in. Yeah, you're right. I had it open in another window. Is it working now? Need some practice at this door. Not very good. So it's good. Cool. Yeah, sorry I was a bit late too. Today I went to go get fuel from the closest port I can get fuel in the dinghy, and when I came to come back in the dinghy, the newish engine that I've only had 1 month stopped working. So I don't know if anyone knows, but it's an engine that doesn't have gears, so it doesn't have forward. It doesn't have neutral, forward, and reverse. It only has forward. Um, the motor's running, but the propeller's just turning around really slowly, even when I put it at full rev. So I don't know what's wrong with that. But I've had to leave it in the port, so that's why I was a little bit late back. Has anyone got any questions? I thought I would get back and prepare for this a bit better than I have, but I've been like rushing around all day. The good news is we did survive another month at Anchor. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm not too sure what to do because in the last month I've not really made any videos. I dropped the GoPro dinner when I'd done the last live stream, and I've not been able to replace it yet. I've done a few bits of work, so I should be able to replace it soon. And you might have not, well, you've not got up to the videos yet, but where I'm up to is, no, I rented some scuba diving gear and I went down and I rummaged around a little bit in the seagrass, but the seagrass must be like so long and the boat had moved a little bit by the time I got back in, and I couldn't find it. I did look for absolutely ages, but I did scrape the bottom of the hull while I was in there, so I did get something done. But yeah, the most recent video, obviously I got into Antibes and stuff, but summer's started, so I don't know how long I can get away with putting them into this winter playlist and not a summer playlist. But I was hoping by the time I'd get onto a summer playlist, I'd be halfway to like Gibraltar or Corsica or Greece, and I'm not. I'm literally just around the corner from Antibes, where I've been since I did the last live stream. So when I recorded that first episode, I'd said like there's going to be having to try and make money, but to do that you've almost got to like fit into the community and try and find ways of making money. But I have had a few people interested in booking some boat trips for July. But if it was up to me, tomorrow I'd get up in the morning and I'd set sail to Corsica. But I'm also really struggling to find a a Genoa that fits. It needs to be, if anyone comes across one, let me know. Like, it needs to be 10.3 meters down the chute. But the problem is, I'm used to looking at all this stuff in French. So for you guys, for me, that's the chute. But what would you guys call it in England? Is that the luff? I don't know why I'm asking you lot. Like, someone will know, won't they? But anyway, it needs to be like 10.3 down there, and then 5.8 along. I can only find ones that are either really, really too small or really, really too big. So I'm kind of still stuck here maybe for another month. But for you guys, you'll still have the videos of me getting over here. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Does anyone have any questions? Take the bid and don't roll it out, Max. Yeah, I mean, if it's too big up the chute, so I just don't think it'll fit on the roller. If it's too big, so I think if it was too small, I might just about get away with it. But even the ones I found that are too small, I can't find one for like less than €500, and that's quite a lot to pay for one that's not the right size. I've seen a few on eBay. I don't know if there's anywhere in the UK that anyone knows of that is quite good at finding used sales, but all the websites I know of in France, I'm struggling to find one. And I've sailed recently. I did a boat trip, went over to the Lerins Islands, which was on a previous video. And when I was coming back, there was a good 25 knots of wind. I've scraped the bottom, but with just the mainsail, I did a maximum of like 3.8 knots, which if I want to cross over to Corsica, yeah, I need to be doing a bit quicker than that. Did you get the tools? Did you get all your tools back from that couple? Nope, didn't get any back. I don't know if I said the last time, but they said they'd called the police on me. I don't know what they could have called the police on me for, because they've effectively stolen from me, but they weren't really nice people. They messed me around pretty much throughout that whole job, and it's put me off doing any job similar to that as well. But the last I heard of them, I told them you might have seen it in maybe 3 videos ago, the one where I get a little bit angry on the phone, and I actually didn't put all of that, because I actually got a lot more angry than I got. But I did say, like, you know, I'll come over and we'll talk about it, and I'm going to take my tools either way. But in the end, they came off the phone and said that they called the police on me because I was threatening them, and yeah, I never got the tools back. But I have since bought a new Dremel tool, and if you don't have one of them, they're highly recommended. It's not sponsored, it's just next to me. I've been working on some merchandise too, but do I have an example? I have this opinion on merchandise where, why does anybody want a hoodie that says a Sailing Yorkshireman on? So I've been working on something. Bear with me. So the big reveal. So this is 2 examples I made, and then a powerboat went past and it actually knocked them both off the table and they both broke. But if anyone would like a custom wine glass making, give me a message. But I didn't do this live stream just to advertise them. But we have like a mermaid one where the tail goes down the stem, and then there'll be a little logo on the back. And then we have this one here, which is made in a swell, because when I made the glass, it was like 0.6 meter swell and the wind was blowing quite strong. But yeah. Any more questions? I'm not doing a really good job of this live stream. If you can't tell, it was a bit of a rush getting back here. I didn't know I was going to get back to the boat, because when you go to land on a dinghy and then you can't use the dinghy to get back to the boat, it's not so easy. But what did I say I was going to update you on? Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, I wanted to just say, if I work for a month, obviously I'm going to have to do what I'm going to have to do, but it's not. I don't want to really stay around here waiting for boat trips. But what would you guys do if you were me? That's the question. I'll ask you guys a question. What would you do if you were me? Which is what I asked last month, but it's the same question, because I'm not too sure what to do. Because at the minute I'm at anchor. The lights have started to work. I've worked out the problem with that. I've done some work on the engine that will be coming up in a upcoming video. Obviously, like I've just been saying, I still don't have the Genoa. We've made a bit of progress this month, but we can't get into a port. All the ports are pretty much full and they're really expensive, so I can't go do any work on the boat in a port. So yeah, I can't do that. And it feels like I'm just like hanging around, but it's obviously summer, and I thought by now I'd be moving along. So yeah. What would you do if you were me? Shall I just go? Shall I get a Genoa that's too small and maybe sail over to Corsica? Because at the minute I'm sat around in like a really, it's annoying for everyone, isn't it? I'm sat around in a really posh part of France, and it's not the best. It's sunny though, so maybe they can get the tools back. I'd go to the cops. Maybe they can get the tools back. I don't know. The way I saw it in the end was the people I was doing the work for were French. The cops are French, and I'm English. And I had a not an incident, but the other day the boat police came past the boat, and I was on my way somewhere, and they were harassing me, asking about, they wanted to see all the boat papers and everything else, and they was asking me how long I'd be staying when I arrived, and I can't help it. So I was just like, why have I done? And it was like, were you playing music the other day? And I was like, everybody else was playing music, but not me. I wasn't playing music. And then someone, they made a joke about the pirate flag on the back of the boat. They were like, do you think you're a pirate? And maybe stupidly I said, I know I am, which then made him a bit more annoyed, I think. But then one of the other boats were telling me afterwards that I should take it down because it provokes them. I'm not sure how true that is, but what was the engine problem about? Kind of got in late, so it was running. Originally, it was overheating, and then we got it so it didn't overheat anymore. But anything more than 15 RPM, it was running. So a couple of things. Firstly, when I scraped the bottom of the hull with the scuba diving stuff, I did find a bit of like fishing line and a little thin bit of rope wrapped around the propeller too. And when I was doing it, the propeller wasn't moving as freely as it should have been able to. And when I took it off, it was moving more freely. And someone just put on a comment the other day too that way back when I've made the first few episodes, there's a pull plug on the back of the boat. I never knew what it was for, and originally I thought you twisted it because I thought twisting it pulled the lever, and as I was twisting it, I could hear the engine die down. But it turns out you actually pull it, which makes perfect sense. But they mentioned that I might have damaged that cable a little bit when I was twisting it, so there's a good chance of that. But when I did the little boat trip, the engine had no problems. It ran all day. I didn't put it at full throttle because I was doing a trip, and it wouldn't have been ideal if the engine cut out. But it ran a lot better than it's ever run before. So I think it's nearly there. Sell fish. I can't even catch any fish for myself at the minute. Yeah, it would be nice if I could just catch loads of fish, sell them, but fishing in the Mediterranean is not how I imagined it was going to be. Although a boat did pull in the other day, I'd been trying to fish for a few hours, and within 10 minutes, they had one on the hook, and I was like, I've been here for hours trying to do this, and yeah. Spearfish. Honestly, I met someone who's devoted a lot of time into learning how to spearfish, and they were telling me that they catch anything. I think myself included, you watch these sailing channels and they're in the Caribbean and the fish don't seem to move, and they come out with like 10 fish. The fish here, they're so quick, they're gone before you even know it. So yeah, I keep trying, but we've not caught a fish since the video when I was in Cannes in the port. So maybe we're not trying hard enough, but we are still trying. This was really not planned as well as I should have planned it. Maybe another country. Yeah, definitely another country. I cannot wait to leave France. I think a lot of people I know think that it's my home because I worked here for like 11 years, but it was always in a bubble. I worked on a campsite and my life was within that bubble. So yeah, I was in France. Yeah, I'd go out to the beach or wherever else, but there was always a sort of community that was on the campsite. And it's only when I left in October that it was then like it felt for the first time, I guess, that I was in like a different country, because suddenly I didn't know anyone. Um, and even now today, I've had, for anyone who joined late, the reason I was late was I had an issue with my dinghy engine. So the port I was in when the dinghy engine broke down, I've gone and I've asked for help, and I even went into the port, and this is like an old iPhone because, as you know, I've gone through too many phones, and this is the one that came from the last. You're not even up to this phone yet. This is like 2 phones down the line, I think. But I needed an iPhone charger because my phone was flat, and I reckon I can probably fix the outboard motor, but I didn't have any battery to look. And I went into the port. There was a girl behind the desk on an iPhone plugged in, and I was like, "Is there any chance you?" Well, I start off in French. Well, I'm not going to do that because it's embarrassing. But is there any chance you have an iPhone charger? And her response was, and I don't know if it's the same in the UK, but customer service here is completely not a thing, or just service, because it is a port, like, and we've gone on about ports in great detail before, I know, but her response was, "I have one only for me." So that's the kind of help you get here. So I can't wait to leave France. Uh, I'm sure you have already checked this, but if the prop is running slow, make sure the coupling on axle is not slipping. I've not checked that. we ended up leaving like in a rush. This boat absolutely should come out of the water. But I think I've mentioned before, to take it out of the water, it's gonna take a lot of money. So, for example, these boat trips I'm selling, you know, I'd have to sell 5 boat trips probably just to get the boat out of the water, and I'm hoping the engine problem's not something that involves me taking it out of the water. And I'd almost sooner it be able to run at 75%. And this might sound stupid, but I'd rather it be able to run at 75%, but run. Because it honestly, it works fine now at 75%. And I've been in some fairly strong weather, and 75%'s been all right. I get it should work at 100, but realistically, how often are people running their engines at full rev anyway? Even if it was a perfectly working engine, I wouldn't run it at full rev. I don't run the dinghy engine at full rev. I don't know why. I just feel like there's no need for it. So there wouldn't really be any need with the. I'm losing my point. There wouldn't be any need to run it at full rev anyway. And if that money could go towards like the Genoa, I'm probably prepared to spend 500, 600 on a Genoa now. Originally, I was like, hopefully I can find one for 200, but after looking for months, and that's the thing that's stopping me going anywhere. It's the Genoa, really. Everything else, I've come to the point where the aesthetics in the boat that I used to spend quite a bit of time trying to get all of them right, I'd rather just get moving now. It's no secret the south of France isn't my favourite place. I think I've made it fairly clear in a few videos. I've received some comments saying it's the south of France. It should be really good to be here, but I've mentioned before as well. It's not a big sailing community. I haven't met many other people on boats here that are open to talking. In a few episodes from where you're up to, and I don't know if they're watching this. If you are watching this, sailing vessel Rihanna, give us a shout, but they're probably not because they're sailing around Corsica. But it was a couple from. They actually worked in Sweden for ages, but they were sailing a boat around in France, and that's the only couple that are actually doing the same sort of thing that I spent quite a bit of time with. But other than that, in the whole time, I've not really met many others. And as it's got into summer, there's now loads of like power boats and yachts, and yeah. But yeah, I don't know how I've gone on. Yeah, I will have a look at the coupling because I don't really know much about that. So I'll have a look into that. How is the boat work fixed list going? We have a drill now. We've got a Dremel tool again. I can't get the laptop outside to show you, but I have not been sat around all month not doing anything. I've actually hand sanded a lot of like the deck where it was a bit, well, not a bit. When I first got the boat, I just painted over everything with a thick layer of white paint, including all the cracks, and then I hoped it would just last. But to make some money while it's July, if I want to sell like boat trips on the boat, it needs to look reasonable. So I've spent probably a good like week and a half hand sanding all of the deck. What else have I got done recently? The electrics. So I don't want to give too much away because obviously it's going to come up in the videos that are going to come up. But if you've seen the most recent video, someone was going to bring that up. I'll get onto it, but now everyone's going to be intrigued because not everyone saw that, and I'm probably going redder than I already am because I was burnt. I'll get onto it, but what was I saying? Boat jobs. Yeah, spent a lot of time sanding, so that's done. the battery. So in the most recent episode, when I was in Antibes, we had the same thing again. The batteries lasted me a few days and then just completely stopped working. I'm really happy to say, touch wood, at this minute in time, this laptop's charged today from the solar panels. The lights are on. They're staying on throughout the night because last night I actually fell asleep with them on, and they were on when I got up this morning. I think the problem was literally the battery. So I don't know if you remember way back in an earlier episode, I was using tractor batteries. And can someone just tell me if I'm talking too fast? Because people always tell me I talk too fast. But I was using tractor batteries initially, and I went through two of them. So one I gave up on in Saint Tropez. And if someone knows a bit more about electrics than me, basically the battery, even now when I charge it and it's been in the sun all day, it will say 13.1 on it. But on an evening, as soon as the sun goes, it just falls. And within 10 minutes of having the lights on, the controller kicks in and it knocks the battery off. What I've done is the thing I said I was not going to do. But what I did was the little leisure battery that I use only for the engine, usually, I've wired everything into that. And ever since, it's been working absolutely fine. So it is a problem. Don't use tractor batteries on boats. Maybe. I seem to work for ages, but it's never worked as well as it should. So maybe we just blame the battery and not me, but it might have been me. Yeah, so the picture on Facebook, and now you've said that, and there's people won't have known anything about that. It's actually part of something else I'm doing. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do the two things together. I'm explaining this badly. It's not anything like that. It's something else I was doing. It's basically I've said on here before that I want to do some good, and that is part of that. So I was willing to take a little bit of flack. So no, I knew someone was going to say that. It's definitely not OnlyFans. Now we've got that live on YouTube. My mum's probably watching, and my dad and my friends, and they didn't know anything about this, and now it's there on YouTube. Can we move on? It's about something else I'm doing. So before doing it, there's a recording, and you guys will actually see part of the video. So I'm not sure yet whether that will be part of this channel or whether it will be part of something else. But basically, it's about wanting to do some good. So I won't go too much into it because this is a sailing channel. But as you know from the earlier episodes, I didn't have the best winter, and people who know me will know a bit more about it. And I just didn't want it to be a waste, really. And I've said since the start of this that if this channel ever does make any money through AdSense, it will all go to a good cause. Because I don't really like the idea of how YouTube works, even though I'm obviously on YouTube now talking. But that's all I'll say on the matter for now, because I also don't want to say I'm doing it for a good cause, because then people will think that I'm saying that to try and get more views and more watch time. And we're actually doing all right on subscribers and watch time. I think we're nearly halfway to 1,000, and I know we're not reaching the heights of like no names mentioned, but we're doing all right. Like I put the videos on, and I've said before too, I just quite like that the same people every week do watch the videos, and I see on YouTube that there's about 100 people every week who tune into my morning, and there's been a lot of it. And as I say, I hope once I get out of France, and I'm actually doing what I thought. So far, it's not really been how I imagined it. And while I'm going off on this little rant, I kind of got thrown in at the deep end. So the first video, A Really Honest Sailor, that I posted up, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be really honest. But I also, on each little part, the plan was to eventually say a bit more about it. So there will be a bit more on an episode upcoming where it's about how I ended up doing it. I've said before, I planned on doing one more year, maybe at work, And a lot of the things that happened, I didn't plan on happening how they happened. And then because of that, the boat really wasn't ready. It was winter, and yeah, like money, it weren't an absolute money disaster, but at the same time, I feel any money I get in, say if for argument's sake, say I have €1,000, I'm not making it up when I say every month from that €1,000, or from any €1,000, 1,000, I'd say 800 would go into the boat. So 80% of any money I have probably goes into the boat, and that's because it weren't really ready to. So I'm not just maintaining things, I'm having to like buy things. And then when things happen like the dinghy engine and I've had to like replace that, that's what set me back this month. Because if you remember last month, I was saying how when I got some money in, I would be looking at adding a solar panel and another battery. But then when I did actually gain some money, it went on getting the engine for the dinghy, because it's quite hard to get to and from land. And now it's on land while I'm here because it's broke. But anyway, that's a bit about that. But all of that stuff I will get into a bit more. But yeah, did that answer the question? I don't know. As I say, eventually when this channel, if it ever starts to make money, that's what I want to do with it. I've not said much about, and I don't know if they're watching, but these glasses I was on about as well. There's going to be an episode upcoming where me and a charity that works close by that does a lot of work with protecting the seagrass. They one of the volunteers, we're going to go over to the Lerins Island, which if you haven't watched that video, give it a watch. It's like the lowest viewed video, and it might be the one I was the most excited about because it's when I'd gone back to anchor. And I don't know, tell me if you find it's something you think about, but because the way the GoPro was set up, rather than it taking the full screen, I could only get it to do that because when I tried to zoom it in, it was missing too much out. And I don't know if that's why that video didn't really get seen much. But if you've not seen it for whatever reason and you're interested, you don't have to. But on that video, that island, there's monks that make wine. So the plan is me and a volunteer from that charity are going to take over like an engraved wine bottle that we're going to try and make look as cool as we can in like an engraved box, and then we're going to auction it off to some of a rich boat somewhere, and the money is going to go to that charity. And eventually that's what I want AdSense from this channel to do too. But yeah, so that's that's why there's a half naked post. But we'll move on. Easy way to check is just looking at it, make sure they spin at the same rate, or lock off the coupling with a wrench against the hull and try spinning the prop by hand. All right, so I can do it without taking the boat out of the water then. I'll give that a go. If you know any good YouTube video about it, point me in the right direction. I'll give that a watch before, but that sounds pretty easy to do, so I think I might be all right with that. Glenn, hi, sorry I'm late. How many episodes is there before we are up to date? So on that note, I don't know why I did it. On the last one, I thought it was episode 27 when it was actually 26. So I'm sorry if anyone thought they'd missed an episode. I just put the wrong number. The next one, I'm still in Antibes, and I'm trying. I'll tell you the story while we're on this live, but I think the next one is I'm still in Antibes. I start to have some battery problems, and then the one after that is when the dinghy gets stole. I actually got some help from two yachties, but they were from like New Zealand, and I've gone through the footage. And there is so much swearing, and I'm trying to get them to come and explain what happened again, because I can't use the footage. Honestly, it's like just swearing, and a lot of catastrophes. So what I might do is I'll make a video and I'll post a link to it because I don't want to not show you something that did happen, but I just can't put it on YouTube. I think I might get banned or cancelled. I think is the new term for it in it. But yeah, that's the next 2 episodes. I then leave Antibes because the engine got stole, and then that brings you about up to and then there's an episode when I did go into the port because everything broke in Antibes, and then sorry, I get distracted by the comments. Yeah, and then everything got broken in Antibes like it has done every time we've gone to anchor for a fair old while, which is expected because we know I'm not ready when I go out sometimes. But I go back into port briefly to try and get stuff sorted, but I couldn't get it sorted. So then there's an episode of me going back out. That's when I did the update video. So you've seen that already, where I do the little update saying I'm going to have to go at anchor. I didn't know how long I was going at anchor for when I did that, but that was on the 14th of June. Then 14th of June, and I've been at anchor ever since. So there's a few episodes then coming up of when I get to anchor. There's an episode coming up about what I ate while I went to anchor because money was like super tight and I had to just buy as many tinned things as I could find. I even walked extra far to like the cheaper shop just to make sure I could get enough while I was coming out to anchor, because we didn't have a dinghy engine at the time. The batteries weren't working, the solar panel weren't working. I didn't have any gas for the cooker, so it was a bit panic station. So there's a few episodes about that, and then the GoPro got lost. So I'd say you may be about 4 or 5 behind now, which for everyone who told me not to post them all at the same time, it was probably good advice because for the last 3 weeks, I'm going to make an episode to show what I have done, but I haven't been doing anything. I'm surviving, as I always say on this channel. If I've not done anything to really show, there's only so much I can show you me sanding the deck. It's not been fun hand sanding the deck, and I lost the GoPro, and I don't know if anyone's ever tried filming on an old iPhone, but it's really hard when you're used to doing it on a GoPro. But I should be able to replace that in the upcoming days. So I'd say 5, probably about 5 behind where I am now. 4 or 5. Do you follow solo sailing, Sophia? Would love to see you sail to the Caribbean eventually. I don't. But I don't. This is the thing. They've never. Honestly, I've never heard of that. And I've watched loads of sailing channels. I think I've said before. Now we're trying to look after the battery, which I'll say this quickly and I'll go put it on charge. But now actually recording and trying to look after the battery on anything. Honestly, I can't sit on the boat on a night time and watch videos because there's just not enough power to do it, and that'd be the time I'd usually watch them. So there's a few that I still make sure I definitely keep up with, and then there's a few that I watch that have followed this channel, and I like to do that because like I get comments, so it's quite nice obviously to see what some of you guys are doing too. So I watch them when and as I can. But that one I've not watched. Is it good? Is it worth a watch? Tell me about it because I'll I'll check it out anyway. But yeah, I'm intrigued. But the Caribbean, when I first started this, I honestly thought I'd be doing the summer sailing and practicing, and I didn't want it to be one of them where I'm going to sail to the Caribbean and then next 6 months later I'm not even on a boat anymore. But how can I put this without it? I'll get there. Like, I will get there, because I haven't found this last 7-8 months easy. But as I say, that's it's not the boat. It's not because I don't want to do this. It's because it was the deep end and I weren't really ready. And I hope, even if not now, because obviously the playlist, the winter playlist, it does all right. It gets views, and all of you guys who are in here now, that's way more than I ever thought would be. But I hope one day it gets shown to more people, because I'd quite like to show that actually living on a boat in the winter and moving a little bit, even if things were really well, money wasn't great. Like, sometimes I wasn't great, and you know, people have pointed out to me in the videos, like, maybe a boat's not the best place for you to be, but I'm still here, and I will get across to the Caribbean. I just don't know if it'll be this boat. I'd really like it to be this boat, but having come in and lived on it for a bit, that's another episode that's coming up. Things to think about when buying a boat, because the other day I was going through a list of things that I struggle with on the boat, and yeah, there's quite a lot. I've always said it doesn't matter about standing up, but when you're doing this all the time, and then when you're having a bad day and you can't stand up, or something breaks because it's not ideal and the cooker doesn't really fit where it is, and when you're having a bad day, all of them little things build up. And it's wide, and I really like how the boat looks from on the deck and from the outside, but the width always means I've got to pay two price categories higher, because it's wider than it is long. No, it's not wider than it is long, but it's wider than a boat of this length usually would be. So, but I'm not giving up on the idea of sailing this one to the Caribbean. It's just the layout of it's really, really good if you've got a few people on board for a day. Like where I'm sat now, there's loads of space. But then when it comes to having a few people, or not even a few people, but to have like somewhere where you'd want somewhere where you can like have a chat out and stuff, and that would be quite difficult on this boat. And you'd quite like to have, I should have kept my list because I now can't think of all of the things. The cockpit as well, it's not, you'd want one that felt a little bit safer, and maybe a full keel. I don't know. Until I actually get that Genoa, I might get the Genoa replaced and feel completely different about it, but we'll see. But yeah, I hope I do make it over there. I haven't given up myself on going in December. It all depends on how much work I can do. The boat's probably 80% done, to be honest. And I'd say when I started these YouTube videos, it was maybe 40% done. I've obviously spent some time doing aesthetics, and I'm not counting that in because it didn't necessarily need to be done, but I'd say about 40% done. The big job is getting it taken out of the water at the minute and getting a Genoa. After that, I think we're all right. So I went off when I was saying it before in a previous question from, I think, Glenn maybe. The electrics now, the chart plotter works, the lights work, the mast lights working, the VHF works. So, you know, things are starting to work a lot better. The water pump still don't work, and I think I'm going to just replace it for a manual one, or a foot one, because it's broke 3 times, and if I'm if I'm on a long sail and it breaks, it's just, I feel like it's not worth the hassle. What do you guys think? Just to overlay the sound with your narration. Even even the video just looks chaotic. Like that's the first thing I thought. Can I talk over this? No, like it's, as I say, I will make something, but yeah, it it was a bad day really. Like my dinghy was deflated. If you watch the video where I get a little bit angry at the French people who stole my tools, this day I was a little bit more angry. So, down to earth chap from Ireland who did a solo sail to the Caribbean. Defo take a look. Sailing Sapphire. Sailing. That's the sort of ones I like, so I definitely will take a look. Give me 2 seconds because I'm on 7%. Swearing is not bannable. I'll make a link, Evan, and I'll leave it on private and I'll send you the link. If anybody wants the video, tell me and I will send you the link and leave the video on private, maybe. Because, yeah, honestly, it was carnage. And then the other thing is, if I'm obviously selling these boat trips, and now I'm a bit worried in case anybody's watching who's maybe booked a boat trip. But I need to find a way to keep them separate. But everyone who knows I'm selling boat trips also knows I have this YouTube channel. So then when they think about coming on a boat trip, I think the first thing to do is come and look on this YouTube channel. And what do they see? Me having boat crises. So it's not the best advertising, is it? And that, and everything that could go wrong on a day out on the boat went wrong. The dinghy got wrapped around the propeller. There was loads of swearing. We nearly hit the rock. Yeah. But I'll send you a link. Anyone who wants it, I'll send a link to the bad footage when I've edited it. I think I already kind of edited it, so I'll put it on when it gets to that time. But I'll put it on private and I'll send a link to anyone who wants to watch it. Unless they're on about booking a boat trip, in which case I probably won't send them a link. Sorry, gel. Sorry, gel. Sorry, gel. Just checking I didn't miss another comment. You will make it, and we're looking forward to see your journey. Thanks, Glenn. And the comment the other day when it said you're getting there, honestly, I try not to be too disheartened sometimes, because as I say it and I mean it, you guys who watch every week, you do watch every week, and then there's any video I put on, it's always going to have like the 100 people who watch every week, and it builds up a little bit more every week. But it is sometimes put a video together and I can be quite happy with the video maybe, and I think, it's going to put it out there and the video will. And I've started let me know what you think, because I ain't sure, but I've started putting like an intro on the video so that people see what's coming up on the video rather than just starting with me going, and so this week. So but yeah, I'd put like not the video I've just put on yesterday, but the video the day before, and it just did quite rubbish. Not you guys, but like anyone else, because for every video there's maybe, it shows me like 120-ish people, maybe sometimes. It varies between like 100 and 140 returning viewers, and that goes up a little bit each week. But then new viewers, and it shows you how many times YouTube's shown the video to anyone new. And that one, just YouTube wasn't showing it to anyone, and yeah. And the subscribers dropped a little bit, and then but the comment, um, that that helps when that's happening, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. Also, more fun to us. Sorry. Yeah, I know. I keep trying to remind myself that. Um, yeah, and I'm glad it weren't. You know, if I'd have set off in back in December or whenever it was, and everything had been all normal, maybe you guys wouldn't have. Some of you guys wouldn't have been here, maybe. And yeah, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I didn't know when I set off. I couldn't find anyone, any videos, and it might be there somewhere. But I remember looking, not when I set off. Sorry, when I was looking to have a boat. Um, if it was going to be possible to like sail around in the Mediterranean in the winter. And if you've watched quite a few YouTube channels, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I understand why people would go back in the winter. But a lot of the ones you watch, or I watched, it'd get to the winter, they'd have the boat in the Mediterranean, and then they'd go back for the winter, and the boat would stay in a port. So I couldn't really find anywhere anyone was really doing it. And you've seen in the videos, I'd get to a port, and an anchorage sometimes, and I'd be the only boat in the anchorage. And looking back now, it's summer. I kind of miss being the only boat in the anchorage. It was quite nice. Now you'll see in the upcoming videos, on last Saturday I was counting around the boats, got to like 200 and stopped counting. They don't even leave any space. Like, I can touch the next boat sometimes from my boat. But yeah, if it was easy, maybe it wouldn't be worth it. And if it was really hard, I try to imagine sometimes approaching the Caribbean and seeing land and thinking, do you remember when you was back in Saint Tropez and Antibes? And yeah, so I I know it's worth doing. And as I've said, like, I look forward to the channel doing what I want it to do, and then I can also do some for a good cause, which is obviously what I've said is important to me too. But yeah, if you give me 2 minutes, I obviously I don't think there's a way to pause it. I just need to go check what the battery's got in it, but the actual monitor isn't working. If it's working all right, I might be able to do like 10 more minutes, but I just need 2 minutes to go check. So if you want to go, that's obviously perfectly fine. Thanks as well for coming at such short notice to give me a little motivation boost, because I I needed it today, and now I'm smiling, so that's good. But give me 2 minutes. I'll see if there's enough power, and then I'll be back. And if there's not enough power, I'll have to end it there. But maybe there's 10 more minutes. 2 minutes. All right, no, we are actually running out of power, and my phone's low too. So if I don't if I don't take the inverter off, which the laptop's actually charging on, then I'm not going to be able to charge my phone. And I'm actually doing a not a sailing lesson, but what things are on a boat lesson in the morning. It's not going to make loads of money, I don't think, but well, I don't really know what to charge, but I'll probably just charge so that it covers me actually going and picking the person up. But someone who wanted to like learn, they asked if I'd give them a lesson on what all of the different things are on a boat. So that's why I need my phone to have battery in the morning, and because I need to go retrieve my dinghy. So when I had to leave my dinghy in the port and I couldn't think of a way to get it, and then I was like, "You have a boat, so just go pick it up." If like the what's that saying? If the if Mohammed can't get, yeah, if Mohammed can't get to the mountain, the mount. So yeah, if my dinghy can't get to the boat, my boat's gonna have to go to the dinghy, basically. So yeah, I need to have my phone battery working for all of them things in the morning. And it's tinned calamari time. I've not actually had my tea yet, so I'm gonna go put some. Today I'm gonna try some salt and pepper calamari. I think I'm gonna try put it in a bit of coating with a bit of chili, salt and pepper, and I'm imagining it's gonna taste like salt and pepper chicken, which I would love to be having salt and pepper chicken for tea, but I'm not. I'm having salt and pepper calamari, but I will let you know how it was. But thanks all for joining, and I'll see you in the next episode. I'll do that thing where I let you all leave first, because otherwise I feel rude. Have the Sailing Brothers made? I'll check. I'll check that out because the battery's gonna go. But yeah. Thanks again.